decide not to use it. Curry, way downtown. Bang! Bang! Oh, what a shot from Curry! From Dyson. Batista with a drive. Deep left field. No doubt about it.
It's going to go deep. He's got Tony, and he's got it. Touchdown, Florida. Kadarius Toney.
Welcome back to the 2-Minute Warning, episode 341. Back on the topic of baseball. Going to be talking about the St. Louis Cardinals again today. Obviously, been doing a couple videos about them. Will they win their division? What will this Nolan Arenado trade mean? Well, today I'm going to be talking about whether or not they can win the National League. But first, question of the day. Who is your St. Louis Cardinals franchise home run leader? Again, if you know the answer, comment below both the person and how many home runs, if you know them both. And if you don't know, stick around to the end of the video, and we will reveal the answer then. But let's get straight into the video. The Cardinals have been solid. As I mentioned in the last couple videos I've done, they're coming off at least, I think, well, the last three seasons they've been winning record, and they've just been solid over the past decade. Of course, won their last World Series in 2011. So the Cardinals have been relevant over the past 2 decades, really, but over the last couple of years, they've kind of fallen off. Really, since the early 2010s, they've kind of fallen off. So I think this, obviously, signing Nolan Arenado is going to put them right back into contention for doing more. So like I said, can they win the National League? Well, are they? It's not so much my lack of confidence in the Cardinals. It's more so the other teams in the National League that are just so talented. First thing that comes to mind, obviously, the first team I want to talk about is the Dodgers. The Dodgers are the next dynasty of the MLB, really the team to beat, and I just don't know if anyone can do it. The pitching staff to start, Kershaw, who's been really great his whole career, future Hall of Famer, finally got his first ring. Kershaw, then Walker Buehler, the young guy, and Dustin May out of the pen. The young guy from Mexico, Julio Urias, who just closed off the last World Series. Really, everything about this Dodgers pitching staff is fantastic. Of course, I see Kenley Jansen as a huge weakness. He always seems to mess up saves. But outside of that, this Dodgers pitching staff is lights out when they're on. and then their lineup is like no other in baseball. I guess you could compare the skill and the power of their lineup to the Yankees, but even that, of course, they're not in the conversation for the NL. And I just think even the Yankees lineup with Judge and Stanton and Aaron Hicks and Gary Sanchez, it just doesn't match up to the Dodgers with Mookie Betts and Max Muncy and Chris Taylor, and I'm missing some Bellinger. The list goes on and on. Seager, Justin Turner, if they re-sign him, it's just so many good players. Of course, they're without Jock Peterson this year, but that's not enough to really a huge difference. So my main threat for the NL to the Cardinals is the Dodgers. The Dodgers are the king, and they're on the throne, and they need to be knocked down. And then a step below that, my next highest seed out of the NL is the Atlanta Braves. I full-heartedly believe the Braves should have beaten the Dodgers last NLCS of 2020. I believe they're up 3-1. I'm pretty sure they were up 3-1, and they should have closed it out, but they just ran out of starting pitching just a little bit. Well, who did they add this offseason? They added Charlie Morton, a notorious guy that's good in the playoffs, both with the Astros and with the Rays last season. So they've added a starting pitcher to their rotation. They've addressed a weakness that they had, a weakness that, had they not had it last year, would have been a World Series, trip to the World Series team and probably winning it over the Rays if they had just 1 or 2 more good starters, which, like I said, Charlie Morton kind of fills that gap. The Braves with Albies and Acuna and Freddie Freeman and Austin Riley and Travis d'Arnaud somehow coming out of nowhere and actually hitting the baseball. The Braves are looking like a very, very good team. Ozuna out of the DH, I like him a lot. So I think the Braves are the next best team in the National League outside of the Dodgers. And like I said, the Braves, I think, if they make the correct adjustments to their pitching staff, can be just as good as LA, in my opinion, based off what we saw last year when they played head-to-head in the conference series. The next team that is really in the conversation is the Padres. The Padres obviously were a playoff team last year, went out early against the Dodgers, were lacking both offensive and pitching pieces. I think that, of course, they just added Musgrove from the Pirates, who's a good starter. They added Blake Snell from Tampa Bay, that's a huge addition. They added Yu Darvish from Chicago. So the Padres are going to be a whole new team than what we saw last year, and last year they were pretty good. And then, of course, you've got Will Myers, Tatis, Eric Hosmer, just to name a few. the lineup is good. The pitching just got way better, so the Padres are making a huge jump, and I think that they'll be a threat. Now, can the Cardinals beat the Padres or any of these teams that I just named? I think they can pull off a win against both Atlanta and San Diego. But like I said, even though I think that the Braves could have beaten the Dodgers last year, I still think the Dodgers are just so powerful that they're only getting better. They kind of eliminated Jock Peterson from their lineup, which seems kind of like a loss maybe, but to me I think that just kind of eliminates an extra player that they utilize sometimes when they didn't need to. So I think this Dodgers team is getting better, and I don't think that the Cardinals can match them. And in all honesty, I think that they can give it a good try and compete for sure. Like I said, I think the Cardinals are a team that we're going to see advance past wild card this round or this season, coming season, no problem. And then it'll get interesting in the divisional round and then possibly to the NLCS. But the Braves, between the Braves, the Dodgers, the Padres, those are the three best teams in the NL for me right now, other than the Cardinals, which I'm not in no particular order between those four teams. And I think that the Cardinals just don't have what it takes at the moment to beat those teams, simply because I think their lineup is there. I think their pitching staff is just a tad behind. Other teams in the National League that might be in the conversation, the Cubs, just because they're in the same division as the Cardinals, but as I addressed in last video, the Cubs, they lost Yu Darvish. They've since dealt away Schwarber, John Lester, and they've just been going downhill since that World Series year, and they just don't have the pitching. So the Cubs are going to be a solid divisional contender for the Cardinals, but not going to be enough to threaten them to win the AL. So I think the Cubs are out of the picture. And I want to mention the Nationals just because they acquired Schwarber from the Cubs. They acquired Josh Bell from the Pirates. They've got Strasburg, Scherzer, and they just won the World Series 2 years ago. But again, they lost, I think Howie Kendrick retired, a guy that took him to the World Series, and Rendon they traded to the Angels. So honorable mention for the Nationals, but they're not in the conversation. So it really boils it down to who's going to win the National League between the Dodgers, the Padres, the Braves, and the Cardinals, plus one more dark horse team that takes a lot of speculation to say this, but the New York Mets have added, of course, Lindor, James McCann. Didn't sign Springer, kind of threatened to, but they've got on their pitching staff. They got DeGrom, Syndergaard, Marcus Stroman. I think this Mets team has the potential to be so good this year, but it's hard to say now because they're going to have to go from bottom of the barrel to elite if they want to make that step. So I want to throw the Mets out there as well, not because I think they will win the NL or I don't think they will, but I think that if all goes well with all these additions that they've had to the team, they certainly could be in the conversation. But at this moment, the NL is kind of a toss-up between the Dodgers and then, like I said, Padres, Cardinals, and the Braves. So as far as how the Cardinals match up against those teams, I think the Cardinals are a very similar team as the Braves were last year. Solid lineup from 1 to 7, 1 to 8, but they just lack some of the starting pitching that they're going to need. Like I said, Cardinals starting pitchers right now: Flaherty, Kim, Wainwright's back, and Carlos Martinez are the four notable ones right now. Jack Flaherty's the ace; he's very good, but so is Kim. I just think that they need Adam Wainwright is getting kind of old, so I think maybe the Cardinals could use another good starting pitcher to match what the Dodgers are doing and what the Padres are doing. But I really do think the NL is going to be a complete toss-up. But if I had to guess, I'm thinking it's coming down to Atlanta and the Dodgers again. I just think Atlanta is such a strong team, and it just kind of annoys me they didn't win last year because I really think they should have. So all in all, the Cardinals are certainly going to be in the conversation for winning the National League, but I think they need a couple more adjustments to their pitching staff, both bullpen and starting rotation, if they want to knock a team like the Dodgers off the pedestal that they are on. So again, will the Cardinals win the NL? I don't know. I say maybe, but I say ultimately they won't. So comment below what you think. But that's all for the video. As far as question today, your Cardinals franchise home run leader is Stan Musial, 475 career home runs for the St. Louis Cardinals. Thanks for watching, guys. 2 Minute Warning.